Welcome to our channel, where we update thrilling stories, creepy mysteries, and dramatic cases that seem to come straight out of the movies. Join us in exploring one of the darkest and most complicated stories, where love is just a mask to hide hatred, and death is disguised as a seemingly random tragedy. The story below will make you unable to take your eyes off, as the truth is gradually peeled away layer by layer, exposing the true nature of people behind the fake gentleness. Underneath the seemingly peaceful appearance, the relationship between Haley and Bill is actually hiding an inevitable storm. After months of seemingly broken up due to misunderstanding and loss, the two seem to have found a common voice again, but that is just a cover for a sinister plot that is gradually being perfected in every detail. Haley has never forgiven Bill for his foolish decision that destroyed her family, pushing her into the darkness of pain and hatred. Underneath the sweet mask, the gentle smile and the affectionate hug is a cold calculation and anger that has never subsided. In Haley's heart, the desire for revenge always smolders like a hidden fire, and now she is ready to turn Bill into a victim of his own past mistakes. Without any hurry, Haley silently observes every action, habit, and lifestyle of Bill. She remembers every smallest detail of his daily life, his work schedule, his drinking time, even the fact that he is often home alone late at night. But the most important thing that makes her plan more perfect is the life insurance policy that Bill recently signed. And the most ironic thing is that her name is at the top of the beneficiary list. It was Bill's absolute trust that paved the way for Haley to act without any worries. Her every move was clearly planned like a map leading to the ultimate goal, to eliminate Bill cleanly and without leaving a trace. One rainy night, when the sky seemed to scream for impending tragedy, Haley realized the opportunity was ripe. Bill returned home drunk from a gathering with colleagues, staggered to open the door, completely unaware of the icy gaze of the woman waiting in the darkness. Haley greeted him with a smile, handing him her usual glass of wine, but this time, the glass contained a sleeping pill strong enough to send Bill into a deep sleep that would prevent him from waking without outside intervention. As Bill collapsed onto the sofa, his body out of control and his breathing even, Haley began to orchestrate her elaborate play. She carefully led him to the stairwell, setting up the scene to make it look like he had fallen while losing his balance because of alcohol. The blood from Bill's head spilled onto the floor. The painful sight should have caused panic in anyone, but in Haley's eyes, it was a chilling calm. She handled every detail with absolute coolness, turning off all the security cameras in the house, erasing all traces of shoes, wiping down the stair railings, and removing any evidence that might indicate a setup. There was no screaming, no rushing. Everything was done like a ritual she had rehearsed hundreds of times in her head. When everything was in order, she returned to the bedroom, waiting for morning. When the first rays of sunlight crept through the window, Haley burst into tears as if her world had just collapsed. She called the emergency services in a state of panic, her mouth constantly screaming her husband's name. The police arrived at the scene, witnessing a wife devastated by the sudden death of her husband. No one suspected anything. Everything was perfect. The forensic report confirmed the injury was caused by an accident falling down the stairs while in a state of loss of control due to alcohol. The insurance file was opened just a few days later, and Haley quickly received a huge sum of money that Bill left behind, a number large enough for her to disappear from this place forever. Thinking that everything was closed, that she would start a new life without Bill's shadow, what Haley could not have expected was a small detail that she overlooked. In recent days, Bill had begun to have a premonition that something was wrong. He sensed a change in Haley's behavior, the cold glances, the questions about finances, and even the times she quietly disappeared at night without explanation. Despite having no concrete evidence, his instincts told him that something dangerous was lurking around him. And just in case, Bill had recorded a voice note on his phone, a vague, but suggestive, dying message. In it, he talked about feeling watched, his suspicions about Haley, and that if something happened to him, it might not be an accident. The phone, which he had set to send a copy of the data to his lawyer's email, did its job. When Bill died, the lawyer was surprised to receive an audio file with a strange title. After listening to the first few seconds, he immediately knew this was no ordinary death. Without revealing anything to the public, he quietly launched his own investigation, gathering information, contacting independent forensic experts, and re-examining the crime scene that the police had missed. Even as Haley basked in her victory, swirls of suspicion were quietly forming around her. Bill's lawyer hired a private investigator who began checking security cameras around the neighborhood. Discovering that a residential camera a few houses away was still active and had accidentally recorded Haley dragging something heavy out of the garage on the night of the murder. Not stopping there, they also discovered that the sleeping pill bill had been paid on a credit card in Haley's name just a few days before the incident. When these seemingly unrelated pieces of evidence were put together, they began to paint a complete picture, in which the image of a grieving wife gradually disappeared, giving way to the portrait of a cold and calculating killer. And while Haley began to prepare to leave the city with the newly received money, Bill's lawyer sent all the evidence to the police along with the recording. An emergency meeting was held that same day. And Haley, who thought she had escaped everything, suddenly became the prime suspect in a sophisticated murder case. In the moment the police knocked on her door to arrest her, everything before Haley's eyes seemed to collapse. She could not have imagined that just a small action, a recording of less than 3 minutes, would turn into a nightmare that pushed her from the pinnacle of freedom to the abyss of judgment. And even though she hid all her emotions, handled every detail perfectly, what she could never control was the last survival instinct of a human being under threat: precaution. The case was brought to public trial, causing a stir in public opinion. The public could not believe that the beautiful, gentle woman who had always been by her husband's side for so many years was the mastermind behind his murder. The media surrounded her. Every detail of the past was dug up, and gradually the picture of an old feud was revealed. What Haley had suffered in the past was real, the pain she carried in her heart was real. But the way she chose to deal with it turned her into a monster. The trial lasted for weeks, with convincing evidence and testimony from forensic experts. In the end, the jury came to the conclusion: Haley was guilty of premeditated murder, with a clear financial motive. The maximum sentence recommended, and she was sentenced to life without parole. Haley's last tears fell not for Bill, but for the fact that she had lost everything: her love, her money, her freedom, and the pride she had always held on to like a shield. In the cold prison cell, Haley quietly looked out at the small sky through the bars. The plan of revenge had succeeded, but at a terrible price. And somewhere in the dark corners of her mind, Bill's voice still echoed, the final warning she had ignored. Every crime, no matter how perfect, will leave a mark. And sometimes, it is the victim who ultimately wins, not by strength, but by remaining sane in the final moment. Thank you for watching until the end of the story. If you love content like this, don't forget to like, follow and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next exciting and interesting developments. Our channel always accompanies you on the journey to discover the dark corners hidden behind each seemingly harmless face. See you in the next videos.